Panthers make a move and add depth to their secondary, but the corresponding move have some fans scratching their head and stroking their chin. Very curious. Panthers fans across the country are finding steals out in the streets on Panthers jerseys. And we finally got a little bit of answer on what the heck went wrong with Ickey Ekwonu in last preseason's game. We got all that and more on this edition of Panthers News Today. We're starting right now. What up, though? It's Aaron Duncan with the Necessary Bluntness Sports Talk. I do recap and analysis of the Carolina Panthers with news, updates, film breakdowns, live streams, podcasts as well. So make sure you are subscribed to stay in touch and in depth and in the loop with everything that's going on with Carolina, because I'm all over the Carolina Panthers when it comes to their updates, and they are all over me. As you can see me decked out in this gear. So yes, I am that guy for your Panthers news and updates, but also give the video a thumbs up. It really helps me out in the algorithm and gets that message and engagement on this video. Lets YouTube know that you're liking the video, so make sure you hit that thumbs up. So the biggest news that came out of the Carolina Panthers headquarters is that they have signed and agreed to terms with cornerback Troy Hill. Troy Hill was a former Cleveland Brown last year, but also spent some time with the Los Angeles Rams. He has that connection with Ikem Ekwonu. He's 31 years old, and he will bring experience in the system to the Carolina Panthers. Yet, like I said, with that background with the Vero and Cooley, it should be a seamless transition for him to see the field in a hurry. Coach Frank Reich was asked today, and he said that he may have a chance to even play Friday in the team's last preseason game. Now, the reason behind the signing is because the Panthers, they're having some depth issues in the secondary. Surprise, surprise. Yes, Dante Jackson was banged up in the joint practice, but the ankle was tweaked. It was not the same ankle that he had the Achilles injury, so there's no big scare there. Apparently, the ankle injury by Dante Jackson is not that serious. But also, Stanley Thomas Oliver, our backup nickel who backs up Jeremy Chin in that nickel position, is also injured. I'm not exactly sure how he got hurt, but he is hurt as well. Troy Hill can also play in the slot and on the outside. So for all my PFF junkies, I'll put up his grades up here, but he can play both sides. He could rush the passer a little bit too. A lot of position flexibility and versatility, which is what this defense and defensive coordinator loves to put on the field. So he can play some outside corner, can play that backup slot position with Jeremy Chin, can come in and just substitute and give guys a breather anyway. I like this move to bring in Troy Hill, a guy with a lot of experience. Like I said, it won't take long to get up to speed. The corresponding move to make room on the roster, because you must stay under 90 players. So when you add a guy, you must get rid of somebody. And the player they got rid of is Marquan McCall, number 55, who was listed on the preliminary depth chart as the starting nose guard. You know, we can transition to a 3-4 defense this year. So a lot of times, you know, you need that big space eater in the middle of your formation that's just a big guy to take up space. And he's very big. He was 345 pounds and was one of the unique players on this team. And he was being big up and had articles written about him just last week. They talked about how much he was a part of the defense. He even started the first preseason game against the Jets. But I guess hints and signs should have been there, because he did not start in the game versus the Giants. Did not play much at all, was on the field during the fourth quarter with the guys that are battling for roster spots. A huge fall from grace from a guy who was a starter. Frank Reich was asked why, and he kind of danced around the answer. Frank Reich's not the greatest at coaches speak. He doesn't give that roundabout car salesman thing that we've heard before from other coaches. He's not a great liar. He wants to be truthful. He loves guys. He talked about how McCall was a good player in person and that he just wasn't a scheme fit or overall fit. And now you may be scratching your head saying, how is he not a scheme fit if we're running that 3-4? We need a big guy. And the next biggest guy now, with McCall being gone, is Derek Brown, who's 320 pounds, and Derek Brown does not play in the middle. It is a little bit puzzling, to say the least, especially with the answers that we got. Now, you may be saying, Aaron, he's a second-year player. He was an undrafted free agent. Why are we crying over spilled milk? I understand that. If there wasn't something behind the scenes significant that happened, which is my tinfoil hat theory, I can't confirm or deny that. If the problem had nothing to do with anything personal, something like that, a lot of fans felt like there were a lot worse players on this team that you could have got rid of. If there's a list of who you want to make room for, there's a couple guys offensively that a lot of fans would probably be happy to show the door and get rid of off the team. We're probably not going to get an answer because Frank Reich isn't the type of guy that's going to put that type of mess in the streets. He wants to keep stuff in-house. He tries to keep it straight up with guys, and I respect that because he talked about how McCall will probably bounce back and be on somebody's 53-man roster, which is the reason why they wanted to make this move so early, and I agree. I think he will fit in on somebody's roster. He's shown that he's capable and good enough of being on a 53-man roster on one of the 32 teams in the league, but it is a definitely puzzling move, but we'll maybe get answers later, maybe not. You guys let me know down below in the comments how you feel about them picking up Troy Hill, but also, is that answer good enough for you in terms of why McCall was gotten rid of and shown the door? Do you think it's something more to it? Let me know down below in the comments how you feel. Starting left tackle Ickey Ekwonu has had a rough preseason thus far. He's given up a couple sacks and quarterback hits. Mainly in this Giants game, there was one play where he completely did not block the defensive end, and he could seem like he just didn't understand what was going on, completely unaware, a brain fart, mental error, whatever you want to call it. So he had a presser. He was asked what the heck was going on, and he just said it was a mental error. He didn't really go into it too much, but Coach Reich really detailed that basically Ickey got the wrong call. There were two calls that they had for certain line protections that sound similar. Frank Reich said that this a mistake had never happened before, but he could understand how somebody could mistake one word for the other. Apparently, all four other linemen got the memo, but Ickey didn't. I don't know what's going on. I don't want to point fingers. I'm not in the huddle. I don't know their line call, so it's just speculation from me either way. But regardless, when everybody else has heard the correct thing, but you didn't, it makes you think what's going on. It makes you start wondering and asking questions. With this new system, are you having trouble digesting what's going on? Is it too much for you? Is it too much of a change of heart? Is it a square peg, round hole system fit? Because Ickey seems to have almost reset the clock from his rookie year, making simple mental mistakes that we thought he might have got past as he worked through those things early on his rookie year and put together a pretty good campaign. So to see this type of stuff from your top 6 pick from last year is definitely puzzling and concerning. Offensive line coach James Campen doesn't seem to be very concerned about Ickey being able to get it together, but the fans definitely are because we know that Bryce Young is not that big, and any unnecessary hit that he takes, it seems to be like a pitch count that you don't want to. So any type of mistakes you can avoid for this long season, especially when you are talking about avoiding preseason hits, fans want to do that, so fans have been extra critical of Ickey. Regardless, it sounds like they've straightened things out. They've changed the call that way. These two calls that sounded similar, they changed one, so there is no confusion. Hopefully things like that don't happen going forward because, like I said, we don't need free shots on Bryce Young, especially this time of year in preseason when it really doesn't count. So we'll see what happens going forward with Ickey. Hopefully he can get things together. I think he'll figure it out. He's still young. There's still time. We're going to be okay. But you guys let me know your thoughts about how Ickey Ekwonu has been performing. And do you buy that explanation about him hearing similar call to what he thought one was the other and then him just messing it up? I want to get you guys' thoughts if you're buying that. This is a public service announcement. If you are anywhere in the United States, go to your local Ross if you are interested in finding jerseys. People have been posting online. They've gone to Ross and found $40 jerseys for the Carolina Panthers. As you know, we got breaking news that even though the Nike has owned the rights to the NFL jerseys for years, they have been making incorrect Carolina Panthers jerseys. Yes, they have been using the wrong blue. So now they've switched over to processed blue. Since they've done that, they're not allowed to sell the old inventory. So all the old inventory is being dumped across the country. You may think it's just a regional thing in North Carolina. It's not. I am not in the Carolinas, and I found 2 jerseys myself at a Ross, and I went to another Ross and found 2 more with the J.C. Horn and a Brian Burns. Many other fans are finding Jeremy Chin jerseys. They're having even more luck than me. They're finding white jerseys. I'm actually jealous myself. But think about it. Every mall probably across America has NFL jerseys, whether it's a Champ Sports or a Foot Locker or a fan shop, whatever you want to call it, in your local mall. They may not have a whole plethora of Panthers gear, but they may have the big name players like a Burns, like a J.C. Horn, maybe even a Jeremy Chin if you're lucky. So all these places across the country, they're dumping this inventory. It's not online for sale. They're going to Ross and selling that stuff to Ross, and Ross is selling that. Like I said, just because your mall, you may be in L.A. and there's Ram stuff and Charger stuff everywhere, doesn't mean it's not a store that has 1 or 2 Panthers jerseys that they're dumping off at Ross. So go to your local Ross and find you a black jersey or a blue jersey or a white jersey. If you like stitched jerseys and you just bougie like that, I can't help you. But if you don't mind an iron-on and you want to get probably 70% off the retail, which is usually $130, and you pay $40 for it. Go to your local Ross right now and go find you a jersey. This is a public service announcement. I'm not going to tell you guys anymore. People online have been seeing stuff in Florida, California, Georgia, all over North Carolina, of course, up north as well. Their jerseys everywhere. Go get them. The next thing I want to talk about is the last preseason game in Frank Reich's strategy. He has talked about that the starters actually will play in his final preseason game. We know that since the schedule has changed and they've added the 17th game to the regular season and taken away a preseason game, things have changed. Typically in the past, that third preseason game was like a dress rehearsal for teams, and they would send their team out for a whole first half and one drive after the third quarter just to simulate going into halftime and coming out to get that last hoorah and break a good sweat before training camp and preseason breaks and the regular season comes. Things have changed now, and every coach kind of plays it by ear and shoots from the hip at times as well. Frank Reich has disclosed that they will be playing the starters. He hasn't disclosed how much, but it pretty much leaned to the fact that it'll probably be similar playing time that we've seen in other preseason games. And if that's the case, it'll likely be 2 or 3 series for our starters, including Bryce Young and that defense. So we will get a chance to see our favorite guys one more time in the preseason before that first September 10th game against the Falcons, and they will be taking the field against the Detroit Lions. I'm excited to see these guys play, and I'm really happy for it. I think that they need more reps. Hopefully they open the playbook a little bit more for Bryce Young and let him throw the ball more. He's only had 12 pass attempts in the 2 preseason games combined, and that just seems very low. Yes, I know we have some questions about offensive line, so that may be reason why they're hesitant to drop back so much, but I still would like to see Bryce Young sling it, and I know they're keeping it vanilla, but I still would like to see them open up the playbook just a tad bit more and let Bryce Young shake loose a little bit. I know he's chomping at the bit to throw the ball around a little bit more, so the fans would love it, and it would be a great thing to do in Bank of America Stadium. Just some rapid fire things. Eddie Pinheiro, he apparently got reports there. He's on track to be back for week 1. He will be practicing this week, and Frank Reich even mentioned that he may take a short kick if the opportunity arises in the preseason game. So good to see our starting kicker is back. Marquise Haynes, who had a back issue during training camp, returned to practice. Miles Sanders, who had a tweaked groin, returned to full pads practice as well. And Derek Wright, who had a hamstring, I think, but he also rumored to have a broken hand, he returned to practice as well. So good news on the injury front there. Chuba Hubbard still missed. Terrace Marshall still missed. Dante Jackson still missed, but we'll still monitor that, and I think it's nothing really major to worry about. Have not heard anything about any devastating injuries, but that is the Panthers news for today. You guys let me know down below in the comments how you want to chop it up about any of these topics, because you know I like to get that feedback from you guys to see how Panthers Nation is feeling. So I appreciate that. Make sure you guys are subscribed. I'll see you next time. Peace.